Not too much. How you doing, Mike?
Always good, man. Well, you were up there yesterday. Let me first get your take on the atmosphere. I mean, the Jets crowd seemed like they were juiced up. It seemed like it was really loud in there. It seemed like the Jets really thought that this was a team that they could finally believe in a little bit.
Yeah, it really does seem like the fans were hitching themselves to the bandwagon like a lot of Eagle fans did coming out of the preseason. I think they went into that game kind of overlooking the Eagles. They have it was interesting. I was trying to look at the game from a Jets perspective going into it beforehand. They have a game in London this week against the Dolphins, a division foe. I think they really were kind of sleepwalking a little bit early on, and before they knew it, they were down big and had to try to come back.
And we know Fitzpatrick, I thought he was awful yesterday. I really thought he held them back. But let me ask your thoughts then. Early on in the game, what did you think of Chip Kelly's game plan?
Early on, what I was really looking at the most was in terms of self-scouting and tendencies. I mean, I was getting frustrated last week with the fact that it was predictable that the first play of every possession was going to be a run either to the left or the right. Not that you had to worry about the ball going in the air. I think teams keyed on that. Now, what I did see yesterday was a little bit more of the first possession, the first play of the possession, not being guaranteed to be a run. There were times sitting there, I'm like, here comes a run, and then he'd throw a little bit of a short pass, which that helps keep the defense on their toes, and I think it helped a little bit there as well. But, I credit Darren Sproles for really helping to put that team on his back, and that touchdown, that punt return touchdown really seemed like, really lifted this team and kind of got them off the ground, and they were able to keep going further past that. At the same token, I thought it delivered a bit of a big punch to the Jets that they had trouble getting off the mat from, and by the time they did, it was too late.
Scott, let me get your thoughts then on a couple of guys in that offense. The offense did play better in the first half. Let's start with Zach Ertz. What role has he had so far through 3 games? Let me ask you this: does he seem like that sports hernia surgery is holding him back, or is he just not in the game plan?
I'm trying to figure that out, too. I gave him a D, obviously, because I started with, where is Zach Ertz? Basically the same question you were asking, and it just does not seem like the same Ertz. And I worried that they brought him back too soon. I just thought, why not give him that week against Atlanta just to make sure? Because it's just week 1 of 16. And, yes, if you end up going in there and losing and you look back and say, boy, I wish I had a Zach Ertz, well, they lost with him, and now you're in the same boat where then they lost the following week. I'd have rather had a perfectly healthy Ertz for Dallas, and not worry about rushing him back too fast. He was on the early edge of his timetable, and he just does not look like the same guy. And I don't know if it's because they were trying to keep Selleck in to block more, but I just didn't see him on the field as much yesterday either. And it's a little bit troubling because without him opening up the middle, there's no reason for anybody to start veering off the sidelines to come in to try to help protect that. And that's an advantage that they've been able to exploit a lot in the past. So it makes you wonder, where is Ertz, and how much of an effect is this going to continue to have if he continues to be MIA?
Well, and I thought yesterday was a perfect day to get utilize the seam and the tight end and the backs out of the backfield. The Jets linebackers not great in coverage, but they're really good on the outside. So I really thought you would see Ertz and some more over the middle stuff and some out of the backfield stuff, but it didn't seem that was something they went with. Let me ask you about Sam Bradford yesterday. I can't put my finger on a word to describe him, but Chip Kelly today said we're really happy with them. He seems to continue to point the finger at the others instead of saying that Sam's got to play better. What is your take on Bradford through 3?
The word that I would go for is just, he's inconsistent, but he, to me, seems like he's just a bit off. The pass to Nelson Aguilar should have caught, but it was low. It could have been better thrown for sure. In Bradford's defense, Ryan Mathews couldn't find his hands early on and dropped 2 passes that could have gone for really good yardage, one of them possibly for a really long touchdown. Same thing with Darren Sproles, normally shorthanded. He dropped that one right on Sproles' hands, and that would have gone for a long touchdown. Suddenly Bradford's numbers could have looked a whole lot better, but he completed 50% of his passes. That's not good enough. And you can point the blame at the receivers a little bit. You can point the blame at him. He's got to be more accurate. He's got to be accurate like he was in what we saw in the preseason and what I saw in training camp. He was on the money with everything, especially in the red zone. That's got to get better for sure. And I thought it was really tentative early on. I felt like Chip Kelly didn't have the confidence in him to put the ball in the air. That first drive when they got down the end zone, it was run. Then they took a shot where he overthrew Miles Austin, kicked the field goal. There you go, 3 points up, 3-0. 7-0 would have looked a lot better for sure.
C for Sam Bradford from Scott Grayson here on 97.3 ESPN. Grayson's grades. Let's go to the B category. Ryan Mathews, let me ask your opinion then on Chip Kelly was asked today, is he a better fit? Does he deserve more carries? You've watched Murray through 2 and now Mathews in 1. Give me your opinion on the better fit.
I still think they're pretty much, 1A and 1B in terms of options. I like Mathews and the ability to kind of take on a hit and keep trucking a little bit, and certainly that helped. The holes he ran through were not exactly wide, but they were enough that he could stick his body in there and kind of drive a little bit for those 2-3 yards. They still had way too many negative run plays, and that's not necessarily his fault, just like it wasn't, DeMarco Murray's fault. But to me, I think that Mathews was a benefit of coming off a week where the offensive line looked atrocious. I mean, if there was no motivation in this offensive line last week, then there was certainly a lot this week to kind of say, we're not as bad as everybody wants to say we were, that we are. And they came out, and I think they played better, and Mathews was certainly a benefactor of that. I think if Murray was in this game, I think Murray also probably gets about 100 yards. I think it's just a function of who they are and what they can do. I would just like to see Chip use both of them in a game a little bit better. And certainly you have to get the run game going early on for that to happen.
Yeah, I know we've asked for a couple of years, even when McCoy was here last year, hey, let's see Sproles and McCoy on the field together. That happened very infrequently. It seems like it's, again, similarly happening very infrequently where you're getting two pretty good weapons on the field at the same time. And this isn't a team that has a lot of talent and depth at wide receiver right now. So, a lot of people have asked, how come we don't see Sproles in the slot a little bit more? I've always said, why not have Ertz play? I thought they lined Ertz out as a wideout on a couple plays yesterday.
Yeah, no, everything looks confused. I still feel like Chip's trying to find his way with the pieces he has. And, when you change that many guys on offense, you don't get enough preseason snaps for everybody to kind of get used to what they're supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to do it. And, I look at this as pretty much like baby steps in the right direction. They definitely needed a win. They got a win. In the end, that's what matters. And now can they turn it into another step forward and another step forward? I mean, against the Redskins, they ought to be able to.
Yep.
And then when you go down the line, the Saints right now, they're lucky. They're getting kind of a weak Saints team right now. You could blink and this team will be 3-2, and suddenly it seems like everything's sort of going in the right direction. But they got to get there. They got to keep taking these steps forward.
The schedule is in their favor coming up. All right, 6 A's yesterday at Grayson's grades. I'll read them off. Darren Sproles, Eric Rowe, Brandon Baer, Jordan Hicks, Malcolm Jenkins, and Connor Barwin were the 6 guys. Let me take Sproles out of the equation. The other 5, Rowe, Baer, Hicks, Jenkins, and Barwin. Who impressed you the most?
I would have to say Brandon Baer. I mean, just what he brought to the line, if he wasn't getting to the quarterback, his hands seemed like they were doing the trick to either bat the ball down, or a lot of times you saw Fitzpatrick even have to adjust the way he was throwing because Baer's hands were getting in the way, and he had to try to find a way around them to try to get to his receiver. I just thought that I really liked what he did. I mean, he was in there a lot, causing a lot of confusion and frustration in the backfield. And he said, it was said that Billy stressed to the guys, look, they get rid of the ball pretty quickly. If you can't get there, get your arms up. And he heard the message. He definitely took heed of it, took advantage of it, and I really like what he did.
I agree
as well.
I agreed with you. I thought Baer, I was concerned the most about losing Thornton, and I thought Baer really, he had 3 pass deflections. I thought 2 of those really came at key times and really changed some drives around. I like what Baer. Now, the other guys, Rowe with the pick, Hicks was all over the place. I think they maybe had more of an impact for more plays, but I thought Baer came up for being as little known as he is, 3rd on the depth chart at that position. I agree with you, Scott. I was really impressed with what he brought to the table, so I'm glad that you felt the same way. All right, check out all of Grayson's grades right now posted at 97.3ESPN.com. No Fs this week, couple Ds, a lot of Cs in there, so check them out. Head to 97.3ESPN.com after every Eagles game for Grayson's grades. All right, bud, take care.
All right, you too.